Okay, we're starting Perek Alef Tanya. So let's jump right in. We don't have a lot of time.
I thought you did Alef last week.
No, last week we did the Hakdam.
Oh, okay,
We came
excellent.
for Perek Alef. It's amazing. Okay, so we all learned this Perek. Hopefully we can learn something new, get a good summary. So the Alter Rebbe starts Tanya. We learned in a Braisa and Seif Perek Gimel Denida that Mashbiya Noisei, before the Neshama comes down to the world, the Neshama is given a Shvua. The Shvua is to be tzaddik, the Al to be Rasha, to be a tzaddik, not to be a Rasha. And then a third part of the Shvua, that Va'afilu kol ha'olam kulei eimim l'cha tzaddik ato, heyei be'einecha k'rasha. Even if the world tells you that you're a tzaddik, you should consider yourself, the way you view yourself should be that you're a Rasha. So this is what we learn in Seif Perek Gimel Denida. So just very quickly, the Alter Rebbe, he does something interesting. He says Tanya, and then he tells you where, the Seif Perek Gimel Denida. The interesting thing is that this teaching appears somewhere else in Shas, in Yevomus, and there it says Tanya. But in Nida it doesn't say Tanya. It says Darash Rab Samloi. So the Alter Rebbe is like sharing a message. There's something hidden. You with me? Right? He writes weird. If he wrote, right? In Nida it's not like that. So like what's he trying to say? What's being hinted over here in the beginning of Tanya? So two things. One, benegea the word Tanya itself. So we know that in creation it says that Hashem created a large fish under the world. It says that Hashem created Tanin, right? Like Perek was called a Tanin. The female version of Tanin is Tanya. It's a klippe. And it's a klippe in Lemdei Torah. It's brought in from the Talmidei HaArizal that they shouldn't learn Pnimiyas HaTorah. It's like an allergy not to learn Pnimiyas HaTorah. So the Alter Rebbe is confronting this klippe. And then the second thing is that the word Tanya is the same letters as the word Eson. Eson means firm and old. And that's the power of the neshama, like the pnimius of the neshama, that's Eson. Tanya is coming to reveal the strength, the power of the neshama. There's also a word from Rabbi Hillel Paritcher that the Seif Perek Gimel Denida, it says that the Yidden in Zman HaGolos are called Nida. Nida represents the foot. So the foot has three parts. The Seif Perek Gimel is in the heel, is a kvayim. So the Bible says that the Alter Rebbe wrote Chassidus for Ikvus of the Mashiach for this generation in the Seif HaGolos. That's also being hinted again, because the whole thing is a fix, right? Because really in Nida it's not. So Al Koponim, now when we say Mashbiya Moisei, that the Neshama is given a Shavua, so what does it mean the Neshama is given a Shavua? A Shavua means a Nesinas Koyach. There's a discussion about what it means to give a neshama before it comes down into the world.
It does the same. You jump to the Perek. You jump to the Perek 11, 12.
Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, it does the same.
So, right, what's the idea of being mashbiya? So it's an Indian of Nesinas Koyach. Shabbos, by the Shir, we were talking about Makifin. That, without going into the inyanim of the Kabbalah or whatever it is, but the neshama in the body is stuck. The neshama in the body is limited by the body. What do we learn at the end of Perek Alef? At the end of Perek Alef, we learn that our nefesh, the nefesh habahamis, is the source of all Ra. So the Koiches Pnimiyim are in Golus. It's only the Koiches Makifim that see that the Amunah part of the person, the Mesiras Nefesh part of the person, the higher parts of the person, that could, the Rotzen of the person, those Koiches, that's the Mashbiyan. In other words, let me say this in a little bit of a different way, that, you know, what is Tanya saying? Tanya is saying a Yid has a neshama. Don't think that all people in the world are the same. Yidden are different. Yidden have a neshama. The neshama, the part of the neshama that's in the goof is stuck. But there's a big part of the neshama that's beyond the goof. And Chassidus is trying to help us tap into those koiches, and that's what's going to give us the ability to go through the world in a powerful way, to be matzliach in the world. And that's, you know, when you look at the Rebbe's Sichos, time and time again, especially, you know, from the beginning of the Rebbe's Nesias, the Rebbe started this whole, developing this whole idea about Avram Avinu, how he started, and then what Yitzchak added. You know what I'm talking about? Like Rabbi Yoel has the Neisim B'Yadus, you know, Denim Tzemei Achai Medaber Yehudi, right? Right? The distance between... Right, Yehudi, it's like a complete, right? So, and the Rebbe says a Yid has to know, why did the Imohis have to be Akoris? Right? All the Imohis had to be Akoris, like they couldn't have kids, like what are the odds? He says, no, because you didn't have to know that they're just miraculous. You have to know that the Teva of the world, Vayoytze Oisei HaChutza, Hashem said to Avram Avinu, Tzeimi Stagninus, you're not like everybody else. And that's the Mashbiyan, I say, that a Yid has greater koiches. And we have to remember that every Yid is empowered to hit tzaddik. Even though we're going to learn Tanya, we're going to say, oh, every person should strive to be a Beinani. But we have to remember in the back of our mind what we read on the first line, that every Yid is given the Shavua, every Yid is given a boost, given an infusion to hit tzaddik. And then we have this strange line that Hayeh Be'enecha Kerosha. I was listening also to Maizeh Perek saying this Perek Tanya. He says, what does it mean? Kol ha'olam kulay. Kol ha'olam kulay. Kol ha'olam kulay. It's not out. He says, even if in your own world, everything tells you that you're a tzaddik, you feel okay. Not only that the people around you, in your own world, you see you're serving Hashem, you're doing the right thing.
In this generation, this is pshita.
Right.
It's the Kiddush. It's the other way.
That's the Kiddush.
For parents, it's...
So, but Ha'olam Kulay, your environment around you, everything tells you you're a tzaddik, but still, Hayeh Be'enecha Kirosha, and we already know now that Kirosha, it doesn't mean Mamash Rosha, but here we don't know that yet. Va'al Tereb asked with Tzarech La'ov in Tafna'an, we learned in the Mishnah of this Perek Beis, Va'al Ti Rosha B'fnei Atzmacha, don't be a Rosha to yourself. Don't see yourself as a Rosha. Here, Yossi, I'm going to give you the Georgian Tanya. I forgot to say this. So last week I brought one Tanya. Today I brought a second one. This is the Tanya made by Hechel Menachem. It's a very good edition, very recent. There are about 8 volumes now. They didn't finish yet. So Akoponim. So that's the Tanya of the week. So the Mishnah says, "Va'al tehi rosha b'fnei atzmacha." You shouldn't see yourself as a rosha. Now, I just want to mention that in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, if you look at the Bartanura has 3 translations, 3 biurim on what it means. Va'al tehi rosha b'fnei atzmacha. One is his own shot. You hear his unbelievable. His own shot of Alti Rosha B'fnei Atzmacha is don't be a Rasha by being Porush min HaTzibur. Don't be alone. But another pshat is don't do something today that now it's okay, but later it's going to come back to hurt. It's going to hurt you in the future. Yeah? And then the Rambam says the way we understand it, so some of the Mefarshei Tanya, they say that the reason why the Alter Rebbe gives a logical vegam, that there's a psychological problem if you're going to be upset, is because the stira and the mishnayos is not according to all shittis. You could easily just change the pshat in the Altehi Rasha b'fnei atzmacha, and then you don't have the stira anymore. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe says, okay, without the pshat, let's take the statement itself. Afilu kol ha'emrim kol ha'emrim heyei be'einecha karasha. He says, v'im yeh be'einech karasha. If that's going to be your self-perception, yeh alavav, yeh atziv, lo yuchal aved Hashem b'simcha, you can't serve Hashem b'simcha. Simcha v'tuv le'vov. V'im lo yeh alavav eklam mizeh, yuchal aved ekavas chaz v'shalom, you could come to, then mitzvahs won't be meaningful to him. He'll come to Kalas Chas V'Shalom.
There's so many things.
Yeah,
it's not either or. It has to be an integration.
Yeah, one of the things that some ask, why does the Alter Rebbe have to ask this question in the context of a stira? Let's even more than that. Let's say a person is a Rasha. For him, it's also a problem to think about himself like a Rasha, because everyone has to serve Hashem, right? So why do you have to ask the question? There's a student. What do you mean? If you have someone that he has a problem, how should he view himself? So the answer, what do you mean? If he's a Rasha, Rabbi Yoel, he says, so he'll do tshuva, so he has a way out. Over here, you're telling a person, your behavior is perfect, and still, so there's no way out. So there's no way out, so there's pain. What are you doing? So Yeh Atzev is going to be broken because he doesn't have a solution. There's nothing he could do. Acha Indian. Yeah, this is the time. Some people, when they're starting to learn Chassidus, so this is where they start, Perek Alef, they say the little Paratcher, the Alter Rebbe starts Tanya with a Tov. Right? He starts Tanya with the Tov, and he ends with the Chulul, or he ends with an Alef. So when you start learning Tanya, you think you know the whole Torah already, it's the end. And then when you finish, you end up by Alef. Because you're just starting. Meshikosa b'makamacha is a Rosh Tevis, is an Alef. B'makamacha, L'kutei Amorim. Al-Koponim, everyone's afraid to sit on my side, I don't know. So, no, it's, that's why I stay Al-Koponim, that's why I make sure to have broad shoulders, that no one should be in the video. So Al-Koponim, so Acha Inyan, right? After Indian, will be a virus, a sugya, and then the questions already. Really, the questions were only an opener to get us to learn about this Indian. We find in the Gemara hey chalukas. The reason why we say the lashon matzinu b'Gemara is because really it's not in one place. You have to combine two Gemaras and end up with 5 chalukas. One Gemara says there are 3 levels, tzaddik, beinoni, rasha. Another Gemara says that there's 2 types of tzaddik, 2 types of rasha. So together we have 5 chalukas. Tzaddik v'toivloi, tzaddik v'rali, rasha v'toivloi, rasha v'rali, beinoni. Upirshu b'Gemara. The Gemara explains that what is the meaning of tzaddik v'toivloi? No, he took them out. Tzaddik, okay, we can't find out. Tzaddik v'toivloi, tzaddik gomor, tzaddik v'rali, tzaddik she'eni gomor. The biur in the Gemara, again, we're doing a quick overview. So first there was a discussion. What does v'toivla mean? He has a good life. V'rale mean he has a bad life. Why should he have a bad life? Oh, it's a tzaddik ben Rocha. So because he said, yeah, but layumsu banim alav is what did he do wrong? No, it means tzaddik gomor. So that's why Pirshu the Gemara explains tzaddik v'toivloi tzaddik gomor. He's a paka tzaddik gomor, so he has a good life. Tzaddik v'raloi.
For him, it seems like it's a good life. That's why he's a tzaddik gomor.
That's how Pinigla. Then there's the Raya Mehemna, then there's the Zoya. The Raya Mehemna, Pashas Mishpatim, Pirush, she explains it that the words Veraloi and V'toivloi are not describing his Gashmiya's state. They're describing his level, they describe what defines him as a tzaddik gomer. What makes him who he is? That's what the Lashon is. Tzaddik v'ralo. What does it mean, tzaddik v'ralo? Sheharasha boy. Kofuf latoy v'chulu. That basically, v'ra loy. That he controls the ra that's in him. So that's what we find in the Gemara. The Gemara establishes that there are 5 categories. What are we learning here? What's the Alter Rebbe telling us in these few lines? The Alter Rebbe is saying, I want you to know that there are levels in tzaddikim. And to have levels in tzaddikim, it doesn't mean that there are levels in how many mitzvahs they do. The levels have to be about something spiritual. Because once a person is a tzaddik, he's not doing any averis. So what does it mean there are levels in tzaddik?
Whole spectrum.
So it's inside, it's the innards.
Even the beginning.
It's the pnimius. Yeah. The Gemara says Perek as the brachas. The Gemara in brachas at the end of brachas says tzaddikim yetzatayv shefton chul shoyim yetzara shefton beinim zev v'zeh shefton v'chulu. And then in the hemshech of the Gemara there it says Amar Rabba. Rabba says Kegoyim ano beinani. Someone like me is a beinani. Since being a beinani is the way what we're asking of every person. We want every person to be a beinani. So you have to give hamchasha. You have to tell them this is what it looks like. You have to be a role model. So Rabba said Kegoyim ano beinani. You know. Normally, Abaya says to Rabbi, if you're a Beinani, I'll say three types in what he says here. 3 ways. One is, and we'll come back to this later in the Perek, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, it's Nageya now and Chedesh Elul, that on Rosh Hashanah, tzaddikim are given life, right? Beinanim are hanging, till Yom Kippur, tzaddikim are given life, the Shoyim are there, and then Beinanim. So, the first shot is Rabbi, if you're a Beinani, then everybody else is Rishoyim. On Yom Kippur, they're going to write everybody Lemisa and Fartik. You know, we're finished. That's one shot. The second shot, L'shavik Machayel Choberya, is that being that Rishoyim B'chayim Kruyim Mason. So b'chayim, kruyim mesim. So as we are alive, we're not alive. Our lives are not lives. What's the third shot?
Be careful, because with all these pshatim, that's how we're going to stay at the end of Tanya. That's.
L'shavik ma'chayim chobeya. It says later that in order for the world to stand, you need a tzaddik in a generation. Tzaddik is soid. If you're a Beinani, then there's no tzaddik in the world. So there's no tzaddik yisoid. It can't be. Rabba is the highest. So this is the pshat that says the Alter Rebbe Lahavin calls it Bayit to understand all of this very well. Yet levels, And what does it mean that Rabbi thinks he's a Benini? You can't say
Yes.
that the Rabbi, you can't say you can't say that the Rabbi made a mistake. Yeah? You can't say that Rabbi made a mistake, because a mistake has to be within the realm. Yeah, it can't be. Yeah, a person, there's a limit. The Rabbi is not lying to himself. He's not a sheker. So Bhavin calls it by the Gamba, Mashamri Vavasa Parakala. The Beit Shalom, Eve says, what was Eve trying to do? Eve is saying, why do you punish people?
Yeah.
Everybody's framed, it's predetermined. So the Beit Shalom, Barasa Tzadik, Barasa Rashayin. So the kash is, Vatzadik Barasa Lekamar. Everyone knows this Bechira. What do you mean? What is Eve saying when he says, Barasa Tzadik? No, everyone has Bechira.
Some people struggle and some people don't.
Yeah. Now the Alter Rebbe brings the next section. What's a Beinini? I'm going to go quickly in this section. Shebevadai, of course, it's not the way the Rambam says it. It's not the way the Gemara says it. Einoi mechzas kuyas umechza avenis. A Beinini is not someone who has half mitzvahs, half avenis. Sheimke. How could Rabbi make such a mistake? The Rabbi was learning in such a fantastic way. But Rabbi, the Malach HaMavos couldn't catch him. So it's 100% that a Beinani is not 50-50.
They got him though. They brought him up for a Shaila, right? He answered.
Yeah. When a person does an Aveira, he's a Rosh Hashanah. It's not only when he does the Aveira, it's from when he does the Aveira till his status changes. Till he does Tshuva, he remains. So he's a Night Tzadik Gomer. And obviously, the Alter Rebbe, in these few lines, he's bringing in the Kodesh flying from everywhere.
It's painful. It's very painful.
Even somebody that's Ever Al Isra Kashal Divrei Seifim, the Gemara refers to him as a Rosh. The Isa, Perek Beis the Avamas, Perek Kama the Nida. Va'afilu Misha Yesh B'yadei Limches. A person's going to say, you know what? I know what a Beinani is. A Beinani is someone who he himself doesn't do Averis. But when he sees other people doing something wrong, he's quiet. He's not Meicha, so he's a Rosh. So he's a Beinani. Even he is called a Rasha. There's also a word over here. The mitzvah of Yechiach is a mitzvah min HaTorah. So you said Isra Kashal Divrei Seifrim, and now you're back to an Isra min HaTorah. But there's a...
It's only if you're 100% sure that he's going to listen, and if you what you're going to say...
If the person's doing an Aveda B'Shegig, then you don't have a Chiyuv Deiraisa. It's not...
I don't know if the Shulchan Aruch Gil Kasim Kippur is the how we said. If a person doesn't know, it's not Shogi.
Right.
He doesn't know.
Right. Mutav, leave them to be a Shegig, right? So the Alter Rebbe is saying maybe...
Also, maybe only if he sees them doing a Avera like Midai Raisa.
Okay, Meret, this is in the discussions.
Maybe he has a smartphone.
Culture came the Kavachim. A double Kavachim. A double Kavachim. If you're a Rasha even when you don't protest, if you're a Rasha even from the Isser Rabbanon, so how much more so? A double Kavachim. The mevatel is a mitzvah says when a person is mevatel a mitzvah that he has an opportunity to do kimoi, kol she'efshel le'lasik b'Torah. Anyone that has an opportunity to learn Torah, ve'ini is. You turn the page. All of those who Chazal say about him, Yitvar Hashem Bazel. He showed by not learning Torah that Torah is not important to him. If it was important, he would learn. So he's being mavaza. He's put. Ask me get to the Agah later. Let's continue. This which we find in Halacha, in Gemara, about Rosh Hashanah that I mentioned before, in the Rambam says, Mechza al Mechza, Mikra Beinani, a person who has 50% mitzvahs, 50% averos, is called a Beinani. V'reiv zechuyas, if a person is, the majority is mitzvahs, Mikra Tzadik. Says the Alter Rebbe, Hu Shem Amushal. This is a borrowed expression from a court case. The Indians, Harva Einish. The Fisha Nidin Acharube, when a person is judged, imagine someone has a din Torah, he goes out, Zeicha B'din. That means he's a tzaddik. In this din Torah, he was Zeicha. Umikra tzaddik B'dinoi, Me'acha Zeicha B'din. So that's in a Shema Mushal. Like sometimes when they call, like here in the shul, when someone calls someone else a doctor. Yeah, it's a Shem HaMushal. It's a borrowed, it's an expression. When we talk about a title, a person has letters after their name. When we talk about a title, a real, an earned title, Shema V'Hamaylo, Shema Toyar V'Hamaylo, Shel Mailos Madrigas Chalukas Tzadikim Abenim, to define the categories actually of a tzaddik and a beini. Amar Azal, what do they say? So here, a tzaddik doesn't have a Yitzhahara B'chal. I just want to take a minute to speak about. I was listening Mendel Wechter in one of his shiurim on the Perek. He goes off on a little tangent about. He says, the Rebbe, however you frame it, this guy is learning a little Tanya, but he saw Lubavitch, you're going to put tefillin on someone, and he had Tanya to him. How could you go put tefillin on a guy? It says in Kabbalah that if a Rasha does mitzvahs, you're actually Meisef Chayas and Klippa. When he puts on tefillin, you're making it worse. What are you doing? And he quoted him this sefer and that sefer and this. Right, whatever. So what does it say? Mendel Wechter says, now imagine you're going to come to a person, he's a Russian, and now he wakes up in the morning, you open up a Shulchan Aruch. It says somewhere in the Shulchan Aruch that a Russia shouldn't put on film. In other words, you have to know when you're looking at Torah that there's two parts of Torah. Torah has halacha, and then there's Kabbalah, there's Pnimiyas HaTorah. In halacha, everyone has to put on film. In halacha, everyone has to keep Shabbos. There's no this whole this inner maisa about right. So what Alter Rebbe is saying here is that when you say in halacha a tzaddik is a majority. In halacha, a tzaddik is a majority mitzvahs. But in pnimiyas ha'inyan, in mitzad neshama, it's a whole different world. A tzaddik means a person who doesn't have any averos. I want to go back to those of you, if you weren't here last week, just, because for some of us, there's anxiety. The first page of Tanya, there's anxiety. For some of us. Right? So, no, I'm not talking about the knas part. I'm saying just the message. So,
It's still there, by the way.
It just so yeah. To me, I love this example because it's just so comical, and I told some of you this story before. To live in the world and take 100% responsibility for our environment, to own our sviba. Right? I told you the story. One day, I come to school, I see that there's weeds growing. It was before school started. I see big weeds growing through the fence. I got a saw, and it's a very long, massive, like these wheat plants. I got a saw, I cut them, and I just left, like, I didn't think about it. I cut them, and I just left them. Yeah, anyway, school starts, I'm sitting in my office, like the first day. And a second grader comes running into my office. He's like, there's a kid whipping kids with the branches. And I think to myself, aha, you see? What do you think happens? You leave it around, right? So, in other words, what does it mean to take responsibility? It's like I'm going to have a time that my kid took my keys. Where did I leave them? Right? So what the idea, the Alter Rebbe is, when we speak about Kedusha, is that to be a Beinoni is to say, enough. I'm going to take full responsibility on my life and Avodas Hashem. I'm not here in the world to be on vacation and to enjoy. I'm here to contribute. I'm here to help. I'm here to. That's my avodah in the world. I'm not here to take. And in our own, this is a derech agav, in our own experience of being, that's when we're the greatest. That's when we feel the best. In the academic world, in the academic world, the teachers. I'm not talking now about the corruption of nowadays. There are people, they'll never stop teaching. They can't stop teaching. It's like, lahavdil, like what Soloveitchik said about his classroom. He was 70 years old. He says, when I go into class, I'm facing 20-year-olds, right? The Zal. These are young guys by the height of their life, smart, their life ahead of them. He comes in, a frail old man, he sits down, and then he starts, the way he describes it, the Rambam, he's 900 years old, he comes in, this one, Rashi, that one. He says, 2 hours we learn, I walk out feeling 20, they walk out feeling 70. They're oizgemuchet, oizgeharget, and he just came to life. So the way Hashem created us is that's where we shine. And that's, by the Beinoni, it's not, oh, you're a Rosh. You have to take achrayus in the world. I'm saying that to myself. A koponim. So, Omru Razal, Tzadikim Yitzutayv Shefton, Shenem Ramachaya, Shkoya. Velibi Cholo Bekirbi. What does it mean, Velibi Cholo? Cholo could mean empty. Cholo also means murdered, slain. Ki yemotze Cholo Ba'adam. She'en lo Yitzhahara, David HaMelech doesn't have a Yitzhahara, ki Hargi B'tainis. The Rebbe asks, why does he have to say how he killed him? Not by Pashayim. Anyone that's not.
Behind this is saying that he had it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, so it's saying
But
to be more practical. You say, if you don't say argument time, then what?
No, because there's
then
another.
You think that he didn't have this.
There's another harge b'tfila. So, in other words, there's another version. So why after that the harge b'tainis? So
because it's a physical action of the goof. So I guess in time it's not so.
Yeah, you know, so I'll call me Shalei Giel Madrigizu. Afshes Kuyosav Merubim Alavenosav. Eine Bemailas Madrigis Tzadik. Well, that's not a Tzadik. But V'chein Omru Razal B'Medrash. That's why the Chazal say, you see, why are they mu'atim? If it's Roiv Zechuyas, if a tzaddik is someone that has a majority mitzvahs, then why are there so few? There's many such people. No, there are very few. Because no Averis, there are very few. Therefore, Amad V'Shaslam B'chol Der V'der V'chulu, Kumeshikasav V'Tzadik Yisayid Elam, that there could be even just one.
So
obviously it's on such a level. 1 second. So the question is, the Rebbe asks, why does the Alter Rebbe say b'medrash? It's a Gemara. It's not a medrash. So they used to. The Rebbe asked this question, and he says like this: the earlier Mefarshei Tanya, the Chassidim, they used to say that when you have in Gemara Agoda, when you have Agoda in Gemara, it's okay to refer to it as medrash. And this is a Agadita. It's a Agadita, so you say Medrash. So the Rebbe says, so you could say, but why does the Alter Rebbe Dafka say that? So he says, because, 1 second. A line before you brought from a Gemara that a tzaddik is 50-50. From a Gemara Rosh Hashanah. Then you're going to tell me another Gemara that
this one's a bad
that's also a Gemara. Why over here? So say this tzaddik is also Roiv Zechiyas, right? The Rebbe says no, the same idea, because medrash is pnimiyas atayra. In pnimiyas atayra, tzaddik means like about that discussion about the tefillin. In pnimiyas atayra, tzaddik means all the way inside. When it's the halacha is different. But in medrash, dafka in medrash means in the deep. What?
So what's the shot then? If Roiv Zechuyas, right? Then and they have no averis. What's the shot Roiv?
No, Roiv Zechuyas means they have averis but mute. So the Rosh Hashanah they get another year.
So tzaddik.
They're called a tzaddik legabe Rosh Hashanah. The Rambam and so ach bira inye. You have a few minutes. We want to try to do this. Let's finish. We started a little late today. Al pi ma shekosar Rav Chaim Vitalza b'shar Adesha v'es Chaim Shanum Perek Beis l'chol ish Yisrael echad tzadik v'echad rosha yesh shtei neshamas. Every yid has 2 neshamas. Now, echad tzadik v'echad rosha is a problem because the tzadik doesn't have the Yetzer Hara. So one way to look at it is, at birth, everyone starts out with tzaddik. Yeah? Another way to look at it is, 1 second. Even a tzaddik gomer gets hungry. He doesn't eat for taiva, but the feeling of hunger, that's the nefesh habahamis. It's not a bad nefesh, right? It's not a ra. He was cholol bekirbi. It's only to serve Hashem, but it's a physical. It's nefesh habasar. It's not a nefesh with a ruchnius interest.
But why does he call it neshamas? That's so strange.
That in the pasuk, because the pasuk is speaking in a general way, and that's why the ksiv u'neshames ani asisi. The beginning of the pasuk is veruach milfana yatev, veruach loshen yochid, u'neshames ani asisi. So one ruach has 2 neshamas. Shein shtei nefashis in the language of Kabbalah. It means nefashis that are active in the body. Nefesh achas. The word achas here also means it's the first one. The first one is mitzad haklipa v'sitra achra. It's important also when we say nefesh achas, it means that that's our factory setting. The initial klipa is our original state. A child, it's the default. A child is a narcissist. When he cries in the middle of the night, it's a nishnegeh the mamadav shlofim. It's there's one thing, me, and that's it. And that's the nefesh habahamis. An animal has only one concern. Right? I don't remember there's a whole Torah about being a Zayda. that you're not you become a person when you become a Zayda. Why? Because animals care for their direct offspring, but there's no beyond that. They don't have beyond that. It's only one state. Vehi hamislabeshes bedam adam lachis aguf. V'deksif ki nefesh abasa bedami umimena from the nefesh habamis boys kol amidus rois. Now you say this Roim Shabbat. We're doing it quickly because we're the Hainu. Kaz v'gaivo miyasei the Eisheneg b'lamayla. There's a lashon in the Friedrich Eber writes in Ozi Baka. He says that anger burns up the person. Kaz and gaiva burns up the person. Also, what makes a person angry? Gaiva is the source of anger, because it's not going the way I want. It's not a person that I. so it's connected. Akoponim, that's when you say the Eish. And then he says, V'tayvis atanugim, you say the Amayim, ki Amayim matzmichim kol minei tainug. The moisture, the flavor, the enjoyment, that's all in the Mayim. That's all that we call juiciness. You know, in the Heiluvis, V'latonis, V'lispirus. Yeah, Hispirus means a person who's a Baal Gaiva about a quality that he doesn't have.
His ego is bigger than his talent.
Yeah, he says, as I go that's his spiders. So all of that is miyasei the ruach, sagarnish, pus, the atzlus miyasei ha'ofar. Then he says, v'gam baya yid midas tevis shebeteva kol Yisrael bitel deisam. That's why I said before, nefesh achas means factory setting, default. The toldus, and from our birth, we have certain midas tevis. Achmanas of midas chasadim. But you see, he doesn't say baishonim, because it says that Jews really, their default position is that they're arrogant, they're azim, they're brazen. By Matan Torah, the event of Matan Torah caused Busha it humbled them. So then it's not a Teva Rishon, it's a Teva Sheni. Al Rebbe doesn't bring it. It's an incredible thing. He says, Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zu de klipa, this nefesh imi klipas nega, sheyesh ba gam ken teva. It's a type of klipa that also has good, v'yisoid eitzaras teva, that everything is blended. There's nothing pure anymore after the Seid Eitzadas. There's two things about about the Yiddish nefesh, about the nefesh abamis. The good that's in it, a goy b'chlal doesn't have. It's good, but it's not like the good of the nefesh alikis.
You have to be careful.
The nefesh, the ra that's in it, is more edel. It's not like the ra of nefesh sumus ha'olam. It's more edel. But in other words, a yid has in the programming that he could do something without a daf garnished. He's not getting anything back. Fagint. Without his neshama, it doesn't have to be because the Eibusher said. He wants to do something nice here, that's all. Hey, Mishakut is Tmeis from the other three. Shein Mem Tev Klal. Mishkasav is Chaim Shamam Tessa doesn't have this Tev, pure Tev. That the whole Tev with the Avdin Omis, the Gamayu Avdin. This is the Gemara says that's what we find in the Eitz Chaim. Gemara says on the Pasuk V'Chesed Lo Mimchatos, she goes Daka V'Chesed Shumas Ha'elam Eisim Einen Erev L'Siyar Achulu. Just in other words, there are many levels in the Gamayu Avdin. Right? A person does something because he wants people to praise him. But even a person does something because it bothers him. When you see someone that's in pain and it bothers you, so you help them, so you're making yourself feel better. And I must conclude with this. I mentioned to you, I went to a workshop once, and there's a fantastic presenter, amazing presenter. He wrote many books and whatever. And in the beginning of the class, he said, he was talking to therapists, and he says, what is altruism? Yeah, what is altruism? It says, this is his hanocha. Altruism is enlightened self-interest. And Mamish had such hanocha. He was talking about marriage and this. In other words, you have to be Meiser Nefesh. You mean Meiser Nefesh, I mean you're going to get... You're smart. It's going to come back to you. Let's try to start on time next week.